Hey guys, it's Jen with 2Ns. Today I'm going to show you how to do an ombre with dip powder. I'm going to try to keep this video as short and sweet as possible, so if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. What you want to start with is your dip base, whatever brand you're using. I'm using Double Dip. And you want to start with a very thin layer of base on your nail. Obviously, I'm using a swatch stick, but that is just for tutorial purposes. But the thinner the layer, the better, because if you have too thick of liquid, then your powder is going to go on too thick. There are literally hundreds of different ways that you can do the ombre method. But for this method, you want to start with the lighter color first. So get a makeup brush. It really doesn't matter what kind. You can see what kind I'm using. It's just it's just an eyeshadow brush. Just something that will hold the powder. You dip the brush into your powder and then you just tap it over your nail. And wherever you want the powder to go, you tap it. For your first layer, it's not going to be as dark and as thick as you want it. So don't worry about that. We are going to do multiple layers. Once you're done with the first color, then we're going to switch out to the second color and you're going to do the same exact thing. You can and probably should switch makeup brushes and get a different brush for every color that you use. But if you're using lighter colors or colors that are similar, it's not as important as it is if you were doing a red and a white. You definitely don't want to contaminate your powders, but it's definitely not the end of the world if you use the same brush for two very similar colors of pink. Okay, so we are finished with the first layer. Once you have the whole nail covered with both colors of the powder, then you're going to tap off the extra powder, just like normal. Whenever you're doing a regular dip, you want to tap off the excess powder and then brush it off with your brush. Get all the extra powder off. The key here is making sure that it's dry before you brush, because if you brush the powder off too early, if that liquid isn't dry, then you're going to smudge your powder and it's not a good look. Something else I want to make very important mention of, if you notice I wiped my brush before dipping it back into the bottle, I will tell you this in every single video that I make. Always, 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 always get in the habit of wiping your brush on a paper towel or a napkin before you stick it back into the jar, because you don't want to contaminate your liquids. What will happen is all of a sudden you'll find that your clear base coat is now tinted red or blue or purple. So just wipe your brush. Alrighty, so for the second layer, hopefully you're noticing that I am actually starting with the color that I ended with. So we're going to switch. Instead of starting with the melon color there on the bottom, we start with the top color. The reason that you want to do this is because this is what kind of causes the powders to blend more. Instead of giving us a hard line, those colors blend together better. And then you do the same thing for the second color. You just dip your makeup brush in there and tap, 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 tap. Until your whole nail is covered. Make sure that you tap out your brush when you're done too, because your makeup brush will still hold powder. You'll think that it's unloaded and then you have powder all over your table. So just make sure you empty it out. All right, so tap off the excess powder, brush off your nail, and now we are done with layer 2. Now for layer 3, we're going to do the exact same thing, only opposite. So again, we start with the bottom color. So the color that we first started with, we're going to start with that color again. Make sure you put a very thin layer of base, and then make sure you wipe off your brush. Has that stuck in your head yet? I'm just going to keep saying it over and over again like a broken record. All right, so remember, we're going to start with the first color again. Tap on your powder. You do want to make sure you remember to get the sides of your nails, because if you just tap powder on the top of it, you're going to end up having thicker powder on the top of your nail, and then the sides of your nails aren't going to have much coverage. Just something to keep in mind as you're doing the ombre. When you're choosing colors for your ombre, Keep in mind, if you choose similar colors, then you're not going to have as drastic of a difference when those colors fade into each other. If they're similar, then it's going to be more of a subtle look. If you choose completely different colors from each other, then it's going to be more obvious of an ombre, but you may have to do some more blending. So just play around with it. You'll see what colors look good together. I do recommend doing it on a swatch before doing it on your nails, just so you can see if you really do like those colors together. Again, it's not the end of the world. If you decide you don't, then it just gives you an excuse to change out your mani again. Like we ever need reasons or excuses, though. All right, so that was the last and final dip. As always, dust off the excess powder. And there we are. Next step is to activate it. If you recall from previous videos, or if you already know how to dip, the activator is what hardens the dip powder. If you don't use activator, your nails will never harden and you won't be able to file them, and it'll just suck because your nails will look terrible. After you use activator, now is the time that you go in and you file your nails and you shape them and you buff them. I don't ever buff my swatch sticks, so I didn't do that in the video. So make sure you do that to your nails. Once you have them looking pretty, then you want to go wash your hands, and then you do your second coat of activator. After the activator dries, wait at least 2 minutes. Take a lint-free wipe. I actually like to use alcohol and wipe your nail. The goal here is to get any remaining activator off, because activator will ruin your top coat liquid or harden your brush. And now it's time for the top coat. Just like with your base, you want to do a very thin layer of top coat for your first layer, but you also want to go in as quickly as possible. The reason for that is because, as I mentioned before, activator will ruin your top coat. So the least amount of time that your brush will touch the nail surface, the better, until you get that first coat on there. Do not worry if it doesn't look perfect. We don't want it to look perfect for that first coat. We're going to go in with a second layer and make sure it's completely detailed and every part is covered and it looks beautiful. So once you get that first layer on, then again, you want to let it dry before you go in with your second coat. You can tell when it's ready for your second coat because it looks like it's shrinking on your nail. You'll have to look at it in the light and kind of move your finger around. But once it starts to look like the top coat is shrinking on your nail, then you can go in with your top coat. And you want to make sure that you're detailed and you get every part. Also make sure that you cap your edges. Once you have your second coat done and your nails are dry, usually it takes between 30 seconds and 2 minutes, then you're done. The only thing left to do is put cuticle oil on your cuticles and show them some major love because they need it, and show off your beautiful manicure. And there you have it. There is one method of doing the ombre. It does definitely take some practice, so don't be too hard on yourself. Just keep practicing and you'll get it. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it, please give me a like and subscribe below. See you guys next time.